Today, we have big news for Manus AI. I logged into my account and I saw that I need to back everything up, get a new account, and change all of these things. And this big news actually shows a big flaw in AI. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I believe there's trillions of dollars at stake for those paying close attention. Today, we are going to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Manus AI, what you need to know, and how you can use it, and what you're about to learn to make money and start a business online. Tim, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Well, except for the news I was not prepared for. I walk in and you're the one telling me about something. I'm like, that's breaking news to me.
Yeah, I mean, I logged into my Manus and I was like, I've been using Manus since it came out. One of my first big videos was on Manus and it went crazy. I mean, I love Manus. I pay like $1,000 a month for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It does great work, but there's a big flaw that no one's paying attention to. And we're actually building a business around that flaw. So more about that in just a minute. Let's talk about what's going on here and what we need to know. So what happened with Manus?
Well, a while back in December, Manus was actually purchased by Meta. They went through the whole process, signed everything, and then they're happy with it, but China was not, because Manus is started as a company that's from China, and so China gets the final say, and they earlier this month put the kibosh on that deal, and so now Meta is pulling out, and Manus is kind of left high and dry, and so that's where the December 29th, because that's when the two companies originally merged for the purchase, and everything that they had together, they've got to completely pull apart now.
Which includes like my files, which I just downloaded it. I don't know how you are with files and stuff, but my Manus alone is 300 gigabytes. So it's pretty big. And when I downloaded it, it's only a file Manus can read, which this is what the flaw we're getting into in a minute. Every AI has this same issue, this same flaw, and it kind of makes AI unusable as a whole. Like when I use my Windows desktop, I'm getting files, I'm getting folders, I'm getting all the things that I save. I have all the stuff I do. It's organized. I can click it. I could see when we're done with this video, there's a little picture of us. That's what the video looks like. All of these things I think is super important. And I think a lot of people are missing the whole point of what's actually going on and how to use this so that you can get something done. And that's what we're talking about today. And I think the Meta buyout failure is good, because I didn't really want Zuckerberg all up in my Manus, right? That sounds weirder than it actually is, but you get the idea, right? I didn't want it to be changed. And what we're seeing here is like, okay, yes, you can download your stuff. We're going to talk about it in a minute, which is interesting because just a couple weeks ago, I created a tool to export my entire Manus in the way that I wanted it, which I actually like my backup better than what they have. More about that in a minute. But let's talk about this transition. It's not a shutdown. The good news is they gave me my $500 back for the month. So I saved the money, and I think it reset my credits because I was at like 100, and now it's back at 120. So looking at that's kind of cool. I mean, that's the least they can do for spending like 20 grand with them over the last couple of years. But going through what we're looking at, there's a transition. Affected users can back up their data before the announced deletion. So this stuff, like if you don't back it up, it's gone for good. Unaffected users can continue using Manus without an interruption, and the action is not a result of a data breach or security incident. It looks like it is something completely different, which is just transitioning. I have noticed that Meta is taken off of all the Manus pages now. They're probably changing to different servers and things like that. So nothing too big there. I did notice that now is the time if you want to start using Manus. They're like literally letting people use free accounts, which is
free
cool.
Until the 23rd.
23rd, and that's 12 days. So that's a good couple weeks to use it. If you are not using Manus and you are trying to make money online, you are missing out. That is my opinion. I've been doing this for a long time. Manus is by far my go-to, Manus and Claude.
Yeah, so if you don't know anything about coding or programming and you're like dealing with Hermes and things like that, seems over your head, Manus is the go-to one for anybody with no coding experience, because it's how we would do it, or how the systems that I'm currently building, it's done right, because it sets it up where it's doing it in stages, and it's building out the tasks and then completing them, and then it's double checking its work, which if you go to some of these other models, some of them say it and pretend like they do, and then you get results that it says they're working, and then you test them out and they don't work.
Exactly. And I think what I like about Manus is the ability to do multiple things. So with Claude, I could do one or two, maybe a zip file of things. With Manus, I can build an entire site. Like a lot of people don't know this, but back in October of 2025, I used Manus to build an entire membership site. You're going to see it in just a minute. That membership site grossed me 6 figures. It still makes me money to this day, and I haven't even marketed it. You're going to see the marketing on it. You're going to love it in just a minute because we tied it into more stuff. But Manus went and did the research, found the stuff, created the whole site. I just zipped up the folders, put them on my server. I was good to go. So what the ownership changes are going on? Meta announced the acquisition with Manus in December. China required foreign acquisition transaction to be withdrawn. Public reporting described scrutiny around the cross-border investment. So it's basically a political thing, it looks like. But what I'm looking at here, and I get people all the time who are like, why do you use Manus? You know, it's from China. I'm like, well, yeah, so is like 90% of the stuff in your house. I mean, you're literally talking to me on a computer that was made in China to tell me not to use a China AI. But at any rate, I like it. I think it's a good use. I think it's a very good AI to use. The bigger lesson is that our workflow needs an exit. A backup can preserve data within one provider. So looking at this, I back up my Manus. I backed it up with HTML and actual files. I'm going to talk to you about why this is important later. There's a video in the description where I talk about this as well. This is a game changer. What we need to understand is we need to understand files that computers can actually access. Tim goes through, he builds AIs on local computers, which is way above what I even want to think about figuring out how to do because I don't have the bandwidth to figure that out. He does it, which is really cool. It's all local. So if I understand correctly, you build a Hermes system. If I make 400 videos, they're in a folder. Here's all 400 MP4s.
Yeah, everything, nothing left my computer. I can unplug my Ethernet cable, turn off the Wi-Fi, and my system still runs. I still have access to the AI, all the videos, everything I create. It's all self-contained.
It just won't find things outside of it.
Yeah, it can't do live research, but everything else it can do.
Now, for the vast majority of people, setting up your own AI, it's a difficult thing to do. It's not easy. You need a computer that's thousands of dollars. You gotta know what you're doing. With Manus, it's the same kind of thing, but what's happening is the files are stored on a server. This is where I live and breathe. I have a lot of stuff on my local computer, but when it comes to AI, everything is backed up on live servers. So like I have my website and then a folder. One of the cool things that I found is Manus and Claude can read the web. So like if I load everything onto my server, rename the index file, and tell Manus to go to that server, it's going to find all the files that can make sense of them. I've actually built courses. I've built complete softwares around this. It works extremely well. I wanted this more local, which is why I created my Manus backup tool. And what it does is it just pulls stuff from Manus, and it'll put it all in a folder, which is great. Now, when I get into the HTML stuff, the reason I like to save things as HTML, so like let's say you're talking to Claude and you're doing research on something and you have this big giant thread. And it's cool, you learn some stuff, but it's not usable. I can't take that to market. I can't sell it. I can't give it to another AI and make sense of it. I mean, I could, but I'm just going to get more of the same. So what I do is I always tell the AI, and we'll give you guys this prompt. You can look at the link in the description there, aiprofitscoop.com/Tim. We will have this prompt for you. What I do is I tell it, turn this into an HTML file with the notes ready to go. Usually I'll put my branding on it just because if I want to, sell it or whatever later, that'll help. That's something I do in Manus all the time. And when I give all these to Manus, it understands it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have like props, processes, research, and history can remain tied to that provider's interface. I don't know if you're like me. You might be. We'll figure it out here in just about a second. When I do things online, I am a Chrome-aholic. I use Chrome for everything. And at the end of the day, my downloads folder looks like the messiest place in the world. It looks like a file cabinet that you tried to like preserve next to a jet airplane engine and it just blows everything ever. which makes it difficult. Like, how do I find the thing I was working on? How do I know what was from this or that or the other? It gets kind of crazy. Are you like that?
My desktop has icons everywhere, but almost everything else is ordered and structured, and I constantly clean out my downloads so that way, because I'm like, I need that to make sure that whatever I just recently downloaded, I can access without issues.
Got it. And me, I am not that way. Like, I literally had to go into my backups to find a file for this video, which was a pain. So what happens is the changes outside of your control can force you to pause, migrate, or rebuild. Let's say today, I mean, maybe the news was worse and it was like nobody can access Manus in the United States.
Because, I mean, this is a political issue. It was China making the decision that you guys can't merge. But what if China said, okay, you can't operate in the U.S., or the opposite, where the U.S. is like, hey, we don't trust these Chinese companies. They're stealing our data. We're cutting off access.
And that's always follow your government's advice, because that's literally where you live. You got to follow that.
Yeah.
What we want to look at is, how do I get what I had? Because if I woke up today and Manus was like, sorry, Charlie, you're out, Dad, I'm going to say that's a mid 6-figure a year blow to my business. Like, that would hurt bad. And so not having copies and backups is detrimental. So going through that, what we're looking at is a backup versus workflow ownership. A provider backup, we go through, I got Manus from Manus's backup. I got the 300 gigabyte file. Thank God we got the servers to handle it, and I put it on the hard drives here. Going through, it was basically files that only Manus understands, so it restores it within, or if you download your ChatGPT backups, it's only that will understand it. Claude, only that. And what I find is these backups miss things. You're not going to get the full files, the everything. So what happens is this helps an account during a platform transition, like now. It's essential, but still provider dependent. I don't want to be provider dependent. I want to have all of the stuff that I created in AI owned for me. I want it to be usable immediately. That's where we go through with a portable backup workflow, where we're going to retain our prompts, processes, research notes, and outputs independently. Lets us switch tools without rebuilding everything from zero. Creates optionality across AI tools. So what I envision in a perfect world, and tell me if this is something that would be useful for you. You got Hermes, it does all your stuff. It knows you, it remembers you. Going to ChatGPT, Manus, all of these, they are on the web, which is okay. That's cool. But I want everything that I use to be something that is a packageable product, right? Think about, like, if I went to work at a factory, and every day at the end of the factory, I have to go the next day and it is as it was the day before I got started. So it's like you got to start over.
Yep.
Right? That would be a very inefficient factory. Like, you can go in and be like, okay, we got to figure out how to make a bottle cap again. All right, we got to make 1,000 of these, but we got to figure it out. Okay, go get the circle thing and trace. It's going to take forever. That's what most people are doing with AI. And I think that's the $1 trillion bottleneck. ChatGPT is great. It's usable. It does amazing things. But what am I actually taking to market? That's what we're going to go through, and we're going to look at the best AIs for each job. What do we use? How do they work? At the end of the day, what are we getting? Because, like, at the end of the day, when you use ChatGPT or Claude or Manus, what do you end up with?
Well, yeah, it depends on what you're trying to get out of them. And, like, this is when I'm doing research, I prefer Perplexity. And that's because Perplexity was designed to be a research AI. You can select a specific model within Perplexity, but I usually just leave it at best. And one of the things that Perplexity is forcing itself to do is to provide actual resources that you can click on and go and visit. Because this is something that previous AI models got people in trouble, because it would give them something that looked like a resource, and they click on the link and it's file not bound, because it made the whole thing up, and then people didn't bother to click on the link and just turn it in as if it was a real source. And so Perplexity got around that by forcing their model, like, these have to be legitimate sources, and you have to verify that you can click on these and actually go somewhere.
Now, with Perplexity, let's say I'm doing research and I want to learn about banner ads that convert really well and the marketing behind them. And I'm digging in and I'm spending an hour and I'm like, yeah, tell me about this, find this. at the end, what next?
Well, it'll give you this big presentation and it sounds nice, but when you ask, how do I implement this? Usually the results that I've had with Perplexity, and this is not to bash on Perplexity, but when it's telling me things on how to actually implement that, it gives you wild stuff that would not work in reality. And you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this sounds plausible. And then you start doing it and you're like, wait, no, you're missing steps. And also, there's no way this is going to work. This is so when it comes to actual implementation or turning it into code or turning it into a valid product, that's when I will switch from Perplexity and go to a different model, usually Claude or...
Now, when you switch, what are you taking?
So since I'm building this stuff internally, like when I first started, it was basically just copy or download the files that I have and copy them into the other model, and hopefully it understands them, or anything it doesn't understand, I got to retype all that in. But then as you know, the technology developed, and now that I've got my own local running models and I can make API calls out to these other ones that are not running locally. I now have it set up in my system where that memory is shared between all of them, and all I'm doing is switching the model. And as soon as that model loads up, it has everything I worked on before.
So I think the key that I'm looking at is we need to know. I do this research in Perplexity. It's good stuff. It helps. It's something that would help. We teach you how to do good research. And at the end of the day, what is it I'm actually taking that's going to be the product? Like, okay, we can go in the garage and jam out some music, but at the end of the day, like, we got to have a CD or whatever cool people use today, the MP3.
Yeah, it needs to produce something.
Exactly. And so what we're looking at is, how do we produce? So like Manus, same kind of thing. I can make things. I can make 1,000 social media posts, but at the end of the day, am I actually going to post them? What happens? What I learned is with Manus, I can create an HTML file with a password that I can give to my outsourcer. It turns every image into a prompt. They turn the prompt, they check it, boom, you're ready to go. Everything's all organized and good, which is good for someone like me because I'm the most disorganized person in the world. Same with Claude. Like when I get an exe or a file or a zip, how am I actually using that? What do I do with it? Gemini, same kind of thing. What am I taking? The point is not replacing the tools. It's choosing them and figuring out what you want. Like knowing that factory. Like I'm not going to go to a factory that's set up to make cars and be like, hey, we're going to start making banana pudding. Be like, wait, what is the... But that's what so many people are doing by not saving these things in the right way. And I think we're in a unique position where understanding how a computer works really helps, because you're like, oh, it's just files on a thing. Like AI is nothing more than glorified pattern recognition to the billionth power. And when we understand that, we're like, oh, now I can make something and have a deliverable. Like if I have 100 HTML files from all the Perplexity research I did about how to think different or how to save money or whatever, now I'm going to have something that I can actually batch. And the key is really looking at that. Like I can make cool stuff in Manus, but at the end of the day, what am I going to do with it? Going through there, what we're looking for is building a layer above the providers. So keeping the process accessible beyond one provider's interface, moving work from one model or agent to another when the task demands it, exporting work as HTML for a copy you can control.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying. With my setup, that's something that I can do. But my setup is not something most people can run on their computers. I have a very powerful laptop. My system would not run on my laptop. Everything would crawl. Like it would barely get anything done. But for most people, right now, they're stuck with copying and downloading and moving it over. But if they were using something like with your personality prompts, where it's like, oh, you just converted it to an HTML. Now I can immediately take that, put it into the other model that I want to use to build it. It'll understand that because HTML is a universal file. Every browser understands it. It's one of the first things a trained model is going to understand. Like it may not understand a image. Some of the models understand images, some don't. So if you have everything, oh, I'll just convert it into a PDF. Well, half the models aren't going to be able to understand that because PDFs are ultimately an image that is stored, and that's why you can't typically edit them without a specific tool.
And it's you have to open PDF. Like I want something. What I want is like I envision myself and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're like, no, you look like an idiot with working. I envision myself like an octopus. And I'm like, all these things are going at one time, and I'm grabbing this HTML and I'm doing this. And anything that causes friction is going to stall the process. And for most people, that friction, game over, you're out of business. We need something that's so fluid that's like, okay, I'm grabbing this HTML. It opens in Chrome that's already open anyway, or Edge or Firefox or whatever you fancy. My folders are here. Everything's saving to something easy. I need less friction so that I can get things to the market like same day. And I think that's one of the things you noticed when starting here is like, we're getting things out at a fast pace because we don't have that friction. Where other companies are like, okay, a month from now, we're going to have this and maybe we'll add that. And let me go ask Bob in accounting if we can put that button there. And it's like, Bob in accounting is going to slow the whole thing down. You're like a truck driving down the road, and all of these things are speed bumps that are just going to mangle your truck, slow you down, and stall the whole process. And that's where, like, with Manus, having to go into Manus, figure out where the file is, what was I working on yesterday, how does it work, that's where we want to go through and look at. So going with that, we're going to go through and look at the program. So let's open up the program. Hopefully it'll show on here, and we'll kind of look at exactly what's going on. So here is the personality prompts desktop. What we're going to see here is we can go through and use all of our AIs on top. So this is using your AIs, the way that you use them, very, very simple, okay? So going through there, what we have is the ability to keep your prompts stored. So there's like all these prompts that you're going to use that are very, very straightforward that work, okay? Then we can add our own prompt. If I come out with new prompts and personality prompts, you can add a whole pack, right? You can go through here and be like, hey, I want the research pack. Boom, it'll put it up right there. And then you can go through and use those, copy and paste. Also, what happens is we have favorites. So this is, ironically, one of my favorite buttons. What this does is it's not like, oh, here's my favorites in Manus, then I go to Claude, my favorite. This is your favorites across the board. So what's happening is this is actually saving my favorites as an HTML file, whatever I use. And you can export everything in here as HTML, so it's instantly recognizable, instantly usable. In addition to that, all of the things that you use, you can save as HTML as well. So what it's doing is it's saving everything the way you want it in a very specific way, and then everything I download, because this uses its own proprietary, not proprietary, but the Chromium browser, but it's isolated. So it's kind of like Chrome, but it's isolated, which means all of the files I download go in here and it sorts them. Here's your stuff from Claude. Here's your stuff from ChatGPT. Here's your stuff from this. Here's your HTML files. And you can go through and use all this and actually have the AI interpret it, which actually helps because, you know, downloading all of my stuff from Manus and backing it up is cool, but I want stuff I can use. I need something that I can build on. Tell me what your thoughts are on this, or how we can make it better, or what you think this would help people with.
Well, that's just like I said, for the most part, people to have something similar to this, they'd have to know more about this, have to build their own tools. And that's the way it was for a while. And the fact that you're just able to produce this. And I want to make sure that people understand what this is. This is not a replacement for Claude and ChatGPT. This goes on top of that. This is, you're using this and then interacting with your preferred, whatever your LLM is for this or that. So this is a layer on top of that adds extra functionality and also lets you turn that into a format. So you can take it, open up the tab that is Claude, turn that into HTML, and then you're like, oh, I want to take this, and then you go to your ChatGPT and you upload it there to use it that way.
Yep.
So it's
like, my whole thing is like, let's make AI usable for the masses. Like for me, it's usable because I know I can go to Claude, get a PHP, put it on my server. I know it'll attach to this, and that, and the other. And I think for the vast majority of people, it's like, how do I make something that instantly can go to market? And that's what this is about, is really looking at that, looking at, okay, yeah, if it comes from the whole idea of the news of like, if I lost ability to use my Manus account, I mean, that is the day the crap hits the fan. Like that's difficult. I've had times where like I couldn't log into my ChatGPT and I'm like, bro, I need to back all this stuff up.
Yeah, I'd have to install Hermes and then teach just some command line stuff.
Yeah. But that's really what we're looking at is like, how can I go through and start making deliverables? And that's why in the program we have like, boom, export this whole chat to HTML, including everything, the images, everything that I've gone through. Boom, now I have something instant. Like, and you'll remember it, right? Because what happens is if the tool changes tomorrow, your workflow should still exist. It should still work. So what we're doing, maybe I go to Gemini to get the idea, research it in Perplexity, build it in Claude, execute it in Manus, archive to HTML. That way I have something I can put on a server and actually use. Or once it's HTML, I can turn it into a software. Now I can sell the software. This is kind of looking at like the base easy language. Like a lot of people don't realize, okay, like phone apps, like one of the things that's fun to describe to people is Netflix is a website. Literally, that's what it is. Like you go there and when Netflix doesn't work, it's like 404 error. I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen that before. You're literally accessing a website through a portal that is the Netflix app. Same with phone apps. All of your phone apps, those Angry Birds are on angrybirds.whatever. And when you understand like the entire existence works on this simple language, which is HTML, PHP, or whatever, now I'm creating things in AI that match that. Boom. Now I can have a business. And that's really the key that we built personality prompts around. But going through there, the idea is use every AI, let none of them own your own work, right? Like my stuff is so spread around, like I think you would literally have to be here in the office to be like, well, what'd you do on that computer? What's over there? How's this working? Whereas something like this, now it's organizable. Now I can use it. Very solid. And this might sound like a pitch for the personality prompts thing, which it kind of is. And that tool, newsflash, you can go download it free at the link aiprofitscoop.com/Tim. We will try to sell you other stuff because we got to make money somehow. But that's a really good tool that you can start using and getting results from. And the key is like, there's this giant gap of how do we make AI usable? Because if AI is this great, wonderful time saver, everything, then everyone should be out of a job. Everyone should be insanely wealthy, and we should all be more productive than ever. But we're not. And that's what this is about, is understanding like, okay, I can create things in Manus. How do I actually build something? What are your last minute thoughts on that?
Well, it's just that this tool is very user friendly, and if people who would not understand it, like I feel like sometimes I'm talking a different language when I'm describing some of the tools that I use on a daily basis. Like this allows people to use it in a very intuitive way. That's game changer. And the thing that kept coming up to my mind is that, you know, those old commercials where it's my money and I need it now. It's kind of like the same thing. It's like, it's my data. I should be able to use it the way I want to.
1000%. Yep. And that's the key. Like I want all of my stuff on my computer. I don't want to go and rely on these things. If Mark Zuckerberg is like, we changed over to CSS format and all my stuff's all screwed up, you know, now I'm out of business. And that's where we need to be adaptable. So check out the tool over at aiprofitscoop.com/Tim. I think you'll like it. Let us know what you think. And by all means, back up all your stuff. Like bare minimum, back up your stuff. So thanks for watching. Smash the like button. Check out the video below, which is about HTML files and AI and how I use it to get results and make deliverables. And we will see you in the next video.